Euronews caught up with UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon in Strasbourg for the World Forum for Democracy at the Council of Europe and asked him about the main challenges faced by the international community and the future aims and goals of the United Nations in an ever more fragile and uncertain world.
The Arab Spring has raised hopes all around the world, but the transition to democracy seems very difficult and in some cases adds new geopolitical tensions. How UN can contribute to this transition?
I'm sure that the wind of change will continue to blow. We have seen very positive development in Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, Yemen and elsewhere, while still we are troubled by the continuing violence in Syria. And therefore, we need to help those countries in transition. That is one of my top priorities as a Secretary General of the United Nations. We need to bring immediate end to the violence in Syria. 19 months have passed already. More than 20,000 people have been killed. I myself, and together with the Joint Special Representative Lakhdar Brahimi, will continue to consult with the countries, key countries, to resolve this issue as soon as possible. This is our political and moral responsibility to help those people.
In the last General Assembly, you said that you are against threats of military action by one state against another. Did you refer to the war of words between Iran and Israel and the United States?
I have warned to the members of the United Nations that exchanges of very strong political rhetoric, shrill talk of war, is very alarming, does not help anybody. Therefore, I have been urging them to refrain from using such rhetoric. That means all the pending issues should be resolved peacefully through dialogue. And this message has been conveyed to the parties concerned, both Iran and Israel. Iran must fully comply with the relevant resolutions of the Security Council and fully cooperate with the International Atomic Energy agencies. The world has a serious concern about their intentions of nuclear issues.
Another international emergency is that of Mali, northern Mali. The Security Council is discussing right now of a possible military intervention. Do you think that it's a suitable solution to the problem?
We have been urging that the constitutional authority should be returned to normalcy. And the northern part of Mali has been run by this extreme Islamists. These are very worrisome. They are applying extreme Islamic law, Sharia law. This is a totally unacceptable situation. Interim leader of Mali, Traoré, has asked to the United Nations to deploy some military forces. I know that the Security Council have been discussing this matter, but before deploying any military forces, we need to be very, very careful. I would urge that all these issues should be resolved through peaceful purposes, including Mali. And the countries in Sahel area are suffering multiple crises, political instability, security instability, and coupled with humanitarian situations. United Nations is mobilizing all necessary humanitarian agencies to provide urgent humanitarian assistance. And I'm going to appoint a special envoy on the Sahel the special envoy, whom I have proposed to the Security Council, will coordinate with the key partners in the region.
Always in the last General Assembly, you say that we live in time of distress marked by growing unemployment, inequality, and intolerance. And the United Nations must rise to this situation. How?
I have sounded a strong alarm to the world leaders that we are living in an era of instability, inequality, injustice, intolerance. We have to address these issues. These are the collective responsibility of world leaders, particularly when world economic situation is still going very difficult way. I have condemned this video which ridiculed and criticized the leader of certain religions. Everybody has a freedom of speech and freedom of expression, but that does not mean that one should provoke hate and anger through this abuse of freedom of speeches. At the same time, violence cannot be justified in any circumstances. Therefore, everything should be resolved through mutual understanding and mutual respect for the other's value and belief. This is what United Nations is going to focus more through alliance of civilizations.
Do you think that the current structure of the United States or the United Nations be effective to address the problems of the international coexistence, or is there the need of a reform?
United Nations has been continuously trying to adapt to changing world by reforming in terms of institutional reform and in terms of changing our management style. However, it's not the institution which causes a problem. It's a political will, lack of political will. If there is a strong political will, where leaders come out with a very concrete and decisive will, we can overcome the weakness of institutions. The Security Council reform has been discussed by the member states such a long time, and ECOSOC has reformed, and I'm also, as a priority, to change management of the United Nations so that UN can meet the expectation of international community in a more efficient, effective, more transparent and accountable way. That's my strong commitment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.